What's up, everybody? Thank you, Puke. Biggest supporter. The second time you heard me speak this week, huh? Super excited to be back here in Hong Kong, back with Hack Seasons. I think it's my second time doing this. I'm leading business at Carve. I got a great stack panel up here with me, so I'm going to talk less. They're going to talk more because I think these are some experts when it comes to leading in the AI industry in crypto. So why don't we start with introductions on yourselves, your projects, and then specifically what you guys are doing in AI, and we'll take it from there.
I'll go first. So I'm Josh, founder, CEO of Iris. So I got into crypto about 5 years ago. Started Iris as a company called Bundler back in early 2021. We were building a L2 for Arweave being the permanent storage chain. We took Arweave from about 10,000 transactions a day to about 50 million transactions a day, and then about a year ago, made the decision to build our own L1, our own data chain, which is kind of where Iris comes in. So we talk about Iris as the first programmable data chain. So a data chain is simply just a chain optimized to store data. So the traditional blockchains can only store small amounts of data. It's exceedingly expensive. And the goal of a data chain is how can you have large amounts of data, think exabytes or more, of data on chain for a fraction of the cost, cheaper than Ethereum, Solana, etc., but also cheaper than traditional storage providers like S3, etc. And then when we talk about Iris as being programmable, we talk about how Iris is essentially this integrated L1 where we have both storage and execution in the same chain, meaning you can store large amounts of data on chain, but we also provide a low-cost pathway to make use of that data within smart contracts. I.e., you can bring that into your smart contracts to kind of supercharge them. So within the domain of AI, we work with a lot of different AI infrastructure and also kind of agent projects around whether it's storing models, data sets, and also kind of creating verifiable agents. So I'll pause there.
Cool. I'm Andrew Saunders, affectionately referred to as Colonel Saunders on Twitter. I am the Chief Marketing and Growth Officer of Scale Network, which is intentionally built different since day one. What does that mean? We are gas-free. We basically have a subscription model where developers effectively rent block space in advance. As a result, no gas fees passed on to users. We actually just surpassed $11 billion in savings for users. Very exciting. And then when I say invisible, what that means is because we're gasless, developers can actually hide the technology behind the scenes, which actually can help drive mass adoption. So great example, we're the leading gaming chain. We're the only chain with a direct partnership with Unity where we incubate games annually. And all of our games on Epic, traditional gamers can literally download the games, play them on Epic, never once interact with the blockchain. And that I think is part of why we're growing so quickly. On the AI side, we also have a robust AI ecosystem because again, if you think about the fact that we're high throughput and we're gasless, what are the best product market fit for that? Obviously gaming where we're leading, AI, we have a number of folks building their own AI chains right now, and then SocialFi, and we actually just had 2 SocialFi dApps launch. And then in my personal background, I've been a 3-time CMO in crypto, former CMO of Arbitrum, cross-chain DEX aggregator with Solana, and then before that, worked in AI and machine learning at Amazon headquarters for about 3 years.
Cool. I'm YQ, founder of Outlier. So at Outlier, we're providing all these different infrastructures for blockchain and crypto projects. Previously, we provide this rollup as service and also this risk-taking AVS as service. And since around the end of last year, we are rolling out a new product called this verifiable agent hosting platform. And we just released a white paper. So basically for the platform, we can provide this sort of verifiability and also this sort of a health check. Beyond that, also some confidential cross-agent routing framework. And so far, we've been working with a bunch of these famous agent framework like Coinbase, Agent Key, and also ELIZA, and a bunch of the other very close partners to help them to fund devs, users to launch the agents on our platform.
I am Igor. I am one of the core developers of ELIZA. I, day by day, build the building blocks that every developers now in the space are using, like our friends, to create their own engines. I run 2 sub-projects. One is a AI Flow that is mainly only machine learning stuff, so very geek stuff, boring stuff. So predictive models, all this can boost the next wave because till now, every one of us use Gen AI. So literally, we depend from models, okay? But next step is to add machine learning and close the gap. because the gap between crypto and AI is 1 year. For 1 year, everybody was talking about tokens. We was developing this new thing, okay, and with the version 2, we're gonna close completely the gap between crypto and AI. That was very big. And we will help, like we do every time, all the developers in the space to produce better tools. They can participate with us. So every single team around here have one plugin with us and help us grow. We are the leading one. I think at today, if we count it properly, we are at around 800 real contributors, because most of the contributors have a company and they send multiple developers to us. It's a very nice project. It's completely open source. Everybody can be in. Everybody can be part of it, and it's yours. So we don't have any black box here. It's completely yours. The next step is to avoid even the model black box. So in the 2 days, okay, chit chat, it will be cool to understand how we can completely remove that limit that everybody have. So because we cannot completely, okay, we can think that we're gonna make our agent reliable, but we don't trust the black box anymore. So we build this every day. I will enjoy actually to speak with all of you after, also with the spot, to make our network even bigger, because it's not like we're gonna charge anybody. It's like free. Okay, but it's good because it's made by everybody of us.
Yeah, well said. Thank you for the introductions, guys. As I mentioned, I think a lot of talented people up here building and innovating in AI. I want to ask, and it was a conversation Andrew and I were having before coming up here, but in the last 2 months, agents and everything were the craze around the crypto market, but we really saw a lack of innovation with those agents, right? Many of them were accused of just being ChatGPT wrappers. So I want to ask our panel, do you think true AI innovation will come from a crypto native company or a company like NVIDIA, Amazon, et cetera? We can start with Josh and just work down.
Do I think that agent innovation will come from crypto? I think in the next 2 years, I'm actually directionally bearish. But I do think crypto will innovate in specific areas. So I think decentralized trading is the obvious answer here, where a lot of the centralized AI companies, the OpenAIs, et cetera, are more focused on how can we just build larger data centers. They can kind of vertically scale, whereas crypto is very much the opposite, which is kind of how can you kind of horizontally scale and use token incentives to perform large tasks. So I think decentralized trading is at least one example of where there's kind of there's less of a direct competitor within the kind of the traditional AI space, where kind of crypto is very focused on this very kind of unique problem. But I think, yeah, agents, I'm happy to hear a devil's advocate opinion, but I'm directionally kind of bearish on innovation coming out kind of outside of like OpenAI, to be honest.
I think, candidly, the innovation can come from anywhere. And I'll talk, I think, a little bit macro about the big tech side. So, for me, I left big tech because I've been in emerging tech for about 20 years. I always want to go into the new growth sector versus something that's declining and consolidating, right? I think when I look back at kind of former colleagues that I have in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, unfortunately with US regulation for the past 4 years, they've built up this narrative that, crypto is a scam and there's, no real tech and nothing viable. And so what you have is a lot of what I would call, normies that, have been impacted by that, right? I think what's happening now with the tides turning and the shift happening, I mean, you can look at, A16Z's policy head running CFTC. You can look at, all of the positive, let's call it crypto sentiment in government right now. I think what you're going to have is, when I talk to a lot of folks in big tech, there is a lot of this consolidation and cost cutting to, move price up because consumer spending, has been down. And so what's going to happen is I think you're going to get a lot more top talent from big tech actually realizing this is this emerging market that's growing. There's significant funding, not just in the West, but also in places like China and Hong Kong. And so I think what's going to happen is you're going to get some really, really top tier developers coming in. I'm not going to show projects, but again, like as someone that comes from AI, that's always believed in AI agents long term in both Web 2 and Web 3, when I've analyzed kind of every project in the AI sector, some of the leading AI projects that I've discovered do have talent that comes from, Google AI, do have talent that I worked with 15 years ago in various technical industries. So, but I wouldn't discount crypto natives because I think also too, someone that's native understands, how this industry operates, may not make some of the mistakes a first-time founder or a Web 2 person would coming in. And I also think like innovative ideas can come from anywhere. And so, someone that's quote unquote been in crypto for 15 years, that's seen it all, may end up coming out with a better kind of use case that's more innovative and more novel that can gain mass adoption faster.
So I think regarding the model side, right, it still be the I would say the Web 2's expertise. For example, OpenAI, DeepSeek, Grok, and Anthropic. I believe still, like if regarding the model, right, the best, the cutting edge model is still coming from this Web 2 space. And in crypto, I believe agents will be the area. I believe all these crypto projects and companies, we can benefit from it. Because in the end, right, the underlying infrastructure for crypto blockchain is still quite decentralized. And so far as we know, right, for large language models, right, it's still relying like a lot of tons of GPUs and very big data centers to operate. So in that case, it's very difficult to really decentralize the training and inference. But beyond that, as we all know, right, so far we already have a bunch of very interesting agents. I would say probably more than half of them contributed by Eliza. And I would say like in my previous talks, I already mentioned it's a natural fit for AI and crypto. Because like in the future, if we really have AGI, for all the agents, they probably have their own identities, their own assets, their own data management, right? So in that case, blockchains are sort of very a natural fit for these AGI or agents to operate in an autonomous way. So, so regarding the trainer, I would say big language model training inference is still be coming from this Web 2. But for this new application, especially regarding like sort of the autonomous agents, I believe crypto AI definitely the trend for the next few years.
So great question. Hello, great question, Paul. I think okay. I'm an AI engineer, so I come from the Web 2 part also. Okay, so even if I'm in crypto, I think Web 3 means like crypto teams have the cards to lead this thing. Because even if you have great funding, we're talking about 500 billion that's gonna even flow inside OpenAI directly. There's not gonna be any other operator. Is that these companies, the bigger they become, the more bureaucracy gonna have. So why people from Google leave Google and come work for me or for another? Because they want to do something. And in this moment, they cannot. So it's very easy for a team to raise money to build a model or to build a better agent than for a major to actually deliver it. Because even if they have 100 engineers there, they have to do paperwork, guys. It's just paper they do every day. There's nothing do anything. So I think between 2025 and 26, we're going to see a rise of AI teams that don't even just tokens, okay? They're gonna start to build a real model, okay? We're gonna have better agents because now agents are really good, guys. Huh? Last check I did before coming to this convention, to the teams, they are building something really cool. It's not dumb anymore. It's not just a wrapper, but it's a wrapper. And also it's a wrapper of a black box. It's not a wrapper of something that we know. Okay, or even DeepSeek is open source, but it's difficult that is not built by us. So one trend that I know, because a lot of teams are already asking us, is that we're probably going to do a consortium to build our own agents, our own model. So various team gonna pool some money. Trust me, it's not gonna be too much money because to prune a model is gonna cost 2 million, 3 million. It's not big money. And we can have our own model that we know is unlocked, uncensored, and we can use in any reality, okay? Because agents don't just talk with you, they don't chat with you. They need to use tools. They need to be very good at use tools. Because the better they become at use tools, the more useful going to be to the human. So our goal, probably as a Web3 community, is to like cut the crap with these black box people. Use them, of course, because they are very good, very good. But to start to transition to a completely open source model, then tomorrow, because today we don't have the technology to completely decentralize it, or better, there is a team called Exolab. They did.
It's one of ours.
I love them. Yeah,
I love them.
I love them. The kids. They did a very simple application, open source, that where you can distribute your model between Apple Mac Minis, for example. And so you can host a big model in 5 Mac Minis. The expense is ridiculous. Okay, under 30K is free money. So we have the technology. We just have to avoid guys be playing this fight war between tokens, for example, and do something together. I think in 2 months we can close the gap even with the black box. So yes, we can be the pioneer of this, like we was the pioneer of the smart contract, like we was the pioneer of the decentralization. We can do this. The major cannot do it.
I want to double down on 2 things you said. So when I entered crypto full-time 3 years ago, there were not a lot of us from big tech in the industry, right? Fast forward, it's been 3 years. There were about 30 of us from Amazon headquarters, at places like Eigenlayer, Scale, or even when I look at my team, today I hired another person from Amazon headquarters. I've got another person from Google headquarters. So you're already seeing, to your point, there's a lot of talent at big tech that's just ready to make a move. And if you closely follow what's happening internally at these companies, there's a decent amount of discontent, and I think top talent's going to start leaving for various reasons. The other thing I want to call out is for anyone that's familiar, Exord, EXORDE, check it out, because I think as someone that comes from big tech, AI, I think everyone right now is obviously focused on this AI narrative in terms of AI agents. However, you have to understand there's a lot of different AI opportunities and plays outside of that. There's going to be a lot of AI projects that are focused on business to business. So with Exord, what they're doing is they're doing AI big data for Web 2 businesses at a fraction of the price of Web 2 AI data providers, right? So that's interesting. You think about what's the total addressable market of enterprise businesses in Web 2, very different from startups in an emerging industry, right?
Well said. I think the panel is a little split on bullish or bearish moving forward. But I want to talk about some challenges you guys are dealing with when it comes to building with AI, specifically around data privacy. How do we protect the data of the user or whatever we're using to build our agents? I'll start with Igor this time and then work down.
Okay, so protect completely the data privacy of the user, I think, is impossible. Okay, I am probably a high-rank user, and I still sometimes put my keys on cursor. Okay, so I'm pretty sure one of these keys going to be in the next training of Claude. I'm pretty sure about that. But it happened. It happened because user want performance. User on the paper gonna make a drama because DeepSeek is in China, all this stuff, guys. But user at the end is gonna put on the application any of his data, because the government have it, everybody have it. So why don't put my social security in my agent and let my agent do the stuff for me? So we have to start to build layer of this to go as much near as possible to have performance to the end user. So we cannot penalize the guy. Because even if tomorrow morning we start to implement TEE that we have native in ELISA, ZK that we're going to have native in ELISA, we know that the end user per token going to be penalized 100%. If we start to add too much processing and we're going to have less adoption. We want more adoption. So we need to add a new layer. Imagine this. Imagine that you have all the data around, all the models around, and everybody have his own chain, okay? And we're going to have agent L2 that perform checks on our boys, no? Okay. Instead of having it native inside that gonna penalize completely your user, you're gonna have something around like a checker, like a police. Okay. They're gonna keep constantly check that everything is working. This is probably what we can do that avoid the penalization of the user. They're gonna abandon you. If cursors start to become dumb, I go to the beach. This is the reaction, okay? So, and he's gonna give you probably like a more safe experience, okay? I'm building this with that guy. We are building hyperparams. Is gonna be something that help the user 100%. Again, exactly like Eliza, because it's a partnership. Is going to be completely open source, so all of you can participate in this. The endpoint is to have a certificate, like a license to drive for the agents, and this is going to open up to the fact that your agent, you have a certificate, is a good guy, so no TOS on Twitter, no blocks, no problems, okay, that actually penalize big time because there are personality guys that spend 100K on an agent in 2 days get blocked, so they start to be a problem.
The Twitter algorithm hates AI
that,
content.
no?
It hates it.
You know that, okay? So we have to go there. It takes a little bit of time because every one of us start to experiment. This is a new thing, okay? This is the next year. We're going to be verify agents, certify agents. But I think doing this in the chain, it's going to cost us in performance. Because if I try to ZK or TE 1 million token, it's going to take 36 hours. He's not going to abandon me. He's going to kill me. Okay? Yeah, so yeah, we have in the right path. We just have to optimize.
The cool part, as I mentioned, right, we've been building this verifiable agent platform for a few months, and part of the features Igor just mentioned, we already have embedded into the platform. So right now, I believe everyone can just have a try with the website. It's dev.autonom.fun. So you can just quickly launch these agents, and in the backend we have multiple sort of components to secure your agent. One is like this POS AVS, as Igor mentioned, right? It's a set of operators doing this kind of health check and all this security check for the agents you deploy. And beyond that, there's another component to do this TE and ZK proof, just make sure like all the logic executed properly. And beyond that, as I mentioned, right, yesterday I announced something in the other room. Basically, we have this confidential layer for all the agents if they talk to each other. So that part can really provide this, some privacy guarantee for the agents when they transfer the data, either between the users or between the different agents. The cool part, as I mentioned, right, we have the white paper, we have a bunch of these mathematical proofs. But on top of that, we already finished all the heavy lifting. For users, it's a really no-code click and a launch agent platform. So you don't need to understand all these complex mathematics we have, but at the same time, you can directly enjoy like sort of all these privacy and confidentiality features we have. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on what Igor said. I think even back in the big tech days, there is this balance between privacy and performance, right? And I'll talk about a little bit of the issue and kind of maybe where it's going. I think the issue right now is, for us nerds out there, right? Like we have insane cybersecurity. We're very protective over personal data, but again, that requires an extreme amount of like understanding of technical processes and systems and things like that. The average consumer, an average retail user, is probably at this point downloading a 1Password, right? Not replicating the same password for 50 things. So I think you have to think of it at different levels and create things that lend themselves to different levels of needs, right? And I'll give you an example. I'm also a VC. I also advise about 2 to 3 projects a year max. I've been working with a company called Nillion, who's basically building an MPC, data privacy layer. And I think where that gets interesting is, those of us or our moms and dads may not need that level of security, right? But let's say you're building a medical-based business on the blockchain and you're encouraging users to upload medical records to do predictive analysis. You've got to decentralize that data because there's such a high risk against it, right? And so I think what you're probably going to see, to Igor's point is, certain folks saying we're willing to sacrifice performance because of the sensitivity of the data, and others saying we don't think this data is all that sensitive, so we're going to optimize for performance. So I would say different levels on the scale based on the need and the type of data. Yeah.
Andrew, the company is going to penalize the performance is going to be the same. They're going to do bureaucracy. So Google stuff. So they don't really care much about that, okay? But the normal user or the high skilled user, he doesn't want that. He want 1 million tokens per second. How can I give him a 1 million tokens per second? So we have to find a way to layer up this and maybe block the agent in case it's problematic, but give freedom till there.
And I think just last thing to close out, I think what you're going to also see, especially in the industry, is you're going to see, I'll take us as, for example, we have a network of layer 1 chains, right? And, if you're going to do a security audit, it's like you use Trail of Bits, they're the gold standard. There's others that are very questionable. But I do think what you're going to start to see is like, companies like ours, I come from AI, our entire C-suite actually comes from like Silicon Valley AI. You're going to start to see AI agents from a business standpoint living on chains, doing constant security audits, identifying gaps, looking for malicious transactions or questionable behavior, quitting blocks. So I do think over time what's going to happen is like the technology will become more secure as AI agents are being used on the business side to secure them. Yeah.
I'll try to be quick because I know that we're like 10 minutes over, but so I think when it comes to privacy and AI, I can make a ton of points. I think depending on the part of the stack that you're talking about, privacy matters differently. I think when it comes to training, using people's data, users don't really care about privacy. It's very clear that the market has shown that. I think there's an argument that the main thing that actually matters when it comes to using people's data is more around actually giving value flows back to users who actually are, contributing data to these data sets. But beyond that, I'm not. I think the only real use case for privacy at this point is regulatory and compliance, which goes back to what you're saying about health data, which it might make sense. And then the final thing I'll say is that the benefit of crypto is that if you actually do want to do something privately, it's pretty much the only place where you can actually do it securely. Because I think, I know, most data that exists today is inherently public. Even if it's stored by Google, Facebook, etc., they've been hacked a million times a year, meaning that all of your data, all of your medical records, everything is 1000% public. And the actual only way to enforce that your data is not public is actually using cryptography, which at the end of the day is what crypto is short for, and actually built on. So what I will say is that, I guess in summary, privacy matters less than people think. But if there is a demand for privacy, then crypto is the only place where you can actually effectively do anything that private, whether it's ZK or it's kind of forms of encryption, etc.
Well said. I think we're way over time, right? So appreciate the panelists, appreciate you guys coming to hear us talk, but yeah, thank you.